Well, bowling fans, we're back in Motion Plus Lanes, one of my favorite tournaments of the year, Joey. The 2015 Action Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing Team Shootout. 16 great teams showed up here today. Qualifying semifinals are done. We've got our 3 TV teams now waiting in the wings in our championship match. We know it's going to be the Brunswick Horsemen. They have to find out who they're going to face yet. And we've got 2 really solid teams with Town and Country Lanes and South Milwaukee Arcade.
Right, both teams line up top to bottom, sound players, great spare shooters. They know how to throw plenty of strikes. They've all had 800, numerous 300 games. We got a tough one to read today.
Yeah, great competition. 2-game total pin matches on TV. A little bit of a tougher lane condition. Great action, and of course, $1,500 sitting on top for the first place prize. And that's a little spending money at the bar once they're done. That's going to add a little bit more pressure in that championship match.
Well, I would think, but like you said, they're all friends, and but they want that title.
No doubt about that. We'll come back with that opening match between Town and Country Lanes and South Milwaukee Arcade in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Hi, this is Carrie Catania. This is my wife Jean, owners of Motion Plus Lanes. Next to me is Phil Brilo, owner of Essential Bowling Concepts. We're here today to present this appreciation award to Joel and Deanna Peckus and all the employees at Action Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. We'd like to thank them for their continuing sponsorship of our singles, doubles, and team scratch televised tournaments at Motion Plus Lanes.
Carrie Catania, proprietor here, Motion Plus Lanes, getting us started once again for the Action Heating and Cooling Team Shootout. Getting the crowd fired up as he always does. A nice crowd. Stick around after the qualifying and semifinals of the tournament today, watching these bowlers battle out for that $1,500 first place prize, and a lot of familiar faces, including Carrie's, we're seeing on TV today. I don't think there's too many new ones. Steve Fisher we've seen a couple times before with Town and Country Lanes and in our 2+1 trios event as well.
Yeah, Carrie never been accused of being a shy person when it comes to the spotlight.
No, not at all. So he lets his wife Jean kind of stay in the background, and Carrie takes all the limelight.
So we got 2 heavyweight teams going at it today, Phil. Kind of like the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight coming up.
I'll tell you what, there were 16 teams out here today, and weren't too many teams you could say that didn't have a chance walking in the door today. This is one of those times of the year Kerry Catania wishes he probably had 32 lanes to fit all the teams that wanted to get in to this great event. But these 2 teams here in the semifinal match, 2-game total pin match, and then waiting in our wings, their leading qualifiers, the Brunswick Horsemen, and there's no slouches on the Horsemen as well.
No, there isn't. Well, here's our first look at good old-time friend and customer Joey Koza, one of the better unknown lefties in the southern side of the Milwaukee area.
Oh yeah, if you've bowled at South Milwaukee Arcade or bowled in the Tri-City tournaments, you've probably had Joey take some of your money along the way. 5 steps.
So got that high backswing, smooth at the bottom, and as normal, carries all 10.
Gets no problem taking it out. The teams do happen to tie. It's an 8th, 9th, and 10th frame roll-off to break the tie after 2 games if that's necessary. The team captains can pick whatever bowlers they'd like for that. Rob Milbrath. This team from Town and Country Lanes really wants the title. A couple years ago on TV, Jerry Reamer left a split in the 10th frame of the second game that let victory slip out of the team's grasp, and this whole team wants redemption and a nice bounce-back shot for his team.
Yeah, good shot from Rob, and both players, let's say, righties on the left lane, playing similar lines of attack, dead flush, and another lefty for Team SMA.
Yes, indeed. Jason Pierce-Chalski. First time we've seen Jason on one of our Time Warner Cable SportsChannel bowling events.
Very deliberate player, good roll on the ball, doesn't quite get the friendly mix on that 10.
No, and that's the thing with this pattern here in Motion Plus Lanes. Tournament pattern's a little tougher than what he has for his house shot. It's about a 5.5 to 1 ratio, but these bowlers need to find a way to get the corner pins out. And a lot of times, because of the short buff at the end of the pattern, there's only 6 feet from where they stop applying the oil to where the machine stops buffing it. you can get some pretty quick transitional changes as well, so you really got to pay attention to what your ball is doing. It's easy to get the ball in the pocket. It's tough to keep up with the changes and dig in the corners.
All right, so on that longer pattern, how is the volume? Light, medium, or heavy?
It's medium. I mean, we've seen some bowlers, especially you'll see on the left side of the lane, for a pattern that's 42 feet in length, they can still get the ball to come off the outside part of the pattern and get up to the pocket, where you'll see most of the righties here in deep, get some hold around that track area, and get the ball to get all 10 in the pit. Nice shot there by Jerry Reamer.
Now Jimmy Page, age 52, recent electee of the South Milwaukee Tri-City Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Jim, a lot of tournament bowling in the Tri-City Association over there. I know he's got a couple of titles out there as well.
Definitely playing the inside part of the lane, curving it up, and trips the 4 from behind. Is that the head pin?
I'm not sure what that was. We'll have to take a look on the replay here, but it seemed like the mystery pin just came out of nowhere. I thought for sure it was a 4 pin. And no, the head of the 2 pin. Barely touched the 4, got it down, and here it is. The stalker form of Tony Buss gets that low form, similar to Marshall Holman back in the day, but very deliberate.
Well, he's like 2 of Marshall Holman, height-wise.
That's a good point. It's fun working with Marshall at the World Series of Bowling this past year in Las Vegas on PBA Extra Frame, and that's something we didn't see much of today. Bowlers going through the nose and leaving the 3, 6, 9, 10, and even on a supposedly easier pattern like this, still a very tough spare to convert.
Well, right. Anytime there's more than one and you have a cluster up there, the chop comes into play. So you need to generally throw a hook at this, but you see more and more PBA players using their hard plastic spare ball and throw straight at it and still convert it.
Yeah, especially if they use a pretty firm ball speed on it, get that ball through the 3 pin back to the 9. Great cover there by Tony Buss.
Right, that's the way most amateurs shoot that spare. Try and curve it into the 3-6, enough to carry out that back pin, the 9 pin.
There's a bowler, first time we've seen on TV as well for South Milwaukee Arcade, Jeff Ross.
Jeff, good friend and customer as well. High series of 853, 22 300 games. And he gets it done.
Yeah, with the power you see Jeff has in that release, you can see why he's got those great scores. Well, usually in this position, we'd see Matt Zagar for Town and Country Lanes, but he's been battling the injury bug this year, so Town and Country gave Scott Salinas a call. Scott does most of his bowling at Old Settlers in Union Grove. 37 300 games to his credit. High series at 836. A little double dribble coming off of his hand, and that's probably why the ball didn't hold pocket.
And he's got that nice relaxed grip pressure, as you can tell by that smooth swing at release. So he may add a little piece of tape in there. But it's not uncommon to see that double dribble or a little bounce in the front part of the lane. Synthetic lanes can sometimes loosen from the foundation and not quite as secure.
And sometimes that bounce, depending on how far you loft the ball on the lane, could affect the rotation a little bit.
And our friend Eddie Jr., 52 300 games, high series of 848.
And he's the one that really put the charge in this team. Semi-final round, they bowled Pro Comp Auto Body, and a couple of those games during that best-of-7 match where Eddie had to step up at the 10th frame and throw a strike in the 10th to lock the game up, and he did. And it's just a little amped on the ball speed there for Ed.
Yeah, Eddie can definitely mock it up a little bit with high rev rate. But should have no trouble with the conversion on the double wood.
Probably just move a little to the right or take the scenic route maybe, give it a little more hand. We know that Ed's got plenty of revs on the ball to get that cross lane.
There are times taking the scenic route, and when we say that, we mean hook the outside part of the lane and let the lane bring it in.
Great cover there by Ed Jr. We're going to get back to the second half of our opening game here. 2-game total pin match. 2015 Action Heating and Cooling Team Shootout. Be back in just a moment. Nice crowd hanging around watching the final couple of matches here at Motion Plus Lanes. And hey, Kurt Preston sighting there in the Badger Red.
Right. Prior to that, I saw Paula Brown in the background.
Yeah, Paula bowled with the team today.
I'm not really seeing any team taking control of this match, and I'm surprised we've yet to see our first. Well, we've had one double.
Yeah, one double from each team,
Right.
but nobody's stringing them out there. And sometimes
Well, not yet.
with the Baker rotation, sometimes it's almost get that little more pressure. It's not that double that you need; it's a double the team needs. And
Right.
sometimes they get the little extra squeeze on the ball.
Steve showing off a little bit of his power there. See the messenger come across the deck. No need to come across, but it would have knocked over that time.
Steve Fisher says his favorite Pro Bowler, past or present, Jerry Reamer. I don't think Jerry's ever his PBA card, but that's not a bad bowler to have as your favorite.
Since we're talking favorite Pro Bowlers, Joey Koza on his bio sheet, Earl Anthony.
And I don't think Earl ever had a backswing like that, but Earl found a way to kick those 7 pins out more often than not.
Okay. Joey has authored 6 300 games with a high series of 801.
4 pin just does the lean on the 7, doesn't quite take it out. And see Joey move way right on the approach. Use that cross lane approach at it. And a little footwork issue there, and not even close.
A little stick and a little pull, and there's our first open of the day.
And instead of South Milwaukee Arcade maintaining a slight lead, gives a little bit of a lead to Town and Country Lanes, but they can extend that here with a double out of Rob Milbrath.
Yeah, and this is why it's so important to throw a great first ball. You don't leave that spare that you potentially could miss. And I'm talking anybody.
Rob's hobbies outside of bowling, golf now that the weather's getting warm, and gambling. Bowlers don't gamble, Joey.
Well, we gamble every time we put our shoes on.
Just about, and that gets that lead out to 19 pins for Town and Country.
I'm sure Rob is talking about friendly gambling, not the illicit type.
Absolutely, and there's bowlers go to enough areas where there's gambling going on. I mean, you look at the USBC national tournaments, a lot of times in Reno. Now at the new bowling plaza at South Point Casino in Las Vegas, be a lot of the USBC national events held there as well. And well, if you haven't gone to USBC Nationals in a while, I know I haven't. I'm looking at going back in 2017 for the Open because that's at Las Vegas at the bowling plaza.
As are a lot of bowlers. We have Reno right before that in 2016. And as we're talking favorite Pro Bowlers once again, Jason's, we have a repeat, Earl Anthony once again.
Well, that's too many righties throwing Earl Anthony out as their favorite bowler. And
No, you don't. But, Earl passing away a number of years back, you think you'd see more Parker Bones from the current lefties of today because he's proven his worth.
And tell you what, Parker finishing first in the initial PBA 50 event this year, followed up with a second place losing to Mike Scroggins at the Villages in Florida.
And the second PBA 50 event won by another left-handed bowler, Mike Scroggins.
So, yeah, lefty's a little early advantage on the PBA Tour, PBA 50 Tour, this year. And if you ever want to catch this PBA 50 finals, I know I'll be on a few of them with PBA Extra Frame this year. Get your sign up for Extra Frame. You can even watch individual events now, 3-day pass for $3.99.
That is the best bargain in bowling, especially if you are a bowling junkie. Jimmy Page, another pack, no trip on the floor that time, just high flush. Jimmy's favorite PBA player, Mark Roth. That's good to see.
Yeah, and that was nice seeing Mark at the PBA main event and the PBA League finals as well. And Dick Allen taking away that Mark Roth MVP trophy. That was kind of the surprise of the tournament. And he really stepped up. Great decision making by his team manager, Mark Baker.
We should mention Jimmy, even though he's done bowling this match, an author of 18 300 games and an 819 series.
Tony Best, 19.
Tony quietly strikes
Another time, 19 300 games, 867 his highest set for Tony. So,
but how many 800s for Tony?
Doesn't say.
Yeah, but an 867 that's pretty much godlike.
Yeah, and I know he's had at least another 850 in there as well. So when he shoots an 8, he makes it a big 800. Jeff Ross stepping up, looking to throw another strike for his team. And now the strikes are flowing.
Yeah, ball finished right behind the 8-pin. Jeff loving Brunswick equipment, using a Scholar.
See the high fives with the team on the way back. Ball just chugs right through the pocket. 7 and the 10, last 2 pins on the deck, and they get caved in by the 4 and the 6. Scott Salinas stepping up. Went a little light last time, left the 2 pin. Let's see if he makes an adjustment. for stepping up in the 10th with his team behind. Or pardon me, his team ahead by 19 pins, and now
Light once again. That kind of surprises me. This guy's got a little power.
So yeah, light now with a spare conversion here. And if Ed Jr. can strike out for South Milwaukee Arcade, this could be an even match getting into game 2.
Eddie's first time up left a 2-8, just like Scott has right here. They both converted. So the math is double going into the 10th for Eddie V. So mathematically, they need 2.
Mathematically, they can't take the lead. They're down 27 right now, but they can knock that lead down within a mark with a double by Eddie.
Right, so they would force Team Town Country to at least mark in the 10th.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 2-game total pin match here, so getting into game 2 shortly. And a nice blower 7-pin there for Scott Salinas, and that gives Town and Country Lanes 232 for game 1.
That's not a bad way to start.
Not at all. But 226 still out there for South Milwaukee Arcade, so Ed Varadian Jr. can knock it down to a 6-pin lead if he can strike out. Something tells me he's making a move off that 2-8 last time. 7 steps to the line. Watch the power coming through. And once again, light, and once again, another 2-8. And you can see the surprise on Ed's face there.
I think he did. He evidently moved his feet a touch right, but Eddie's still got some pretty firm speed, and it's not just where we stand in target. Sometimes it's ball speed, hand position.
Oh, and you got 4 other bowlers on your team. Actually, only 2 with the 2 lefties that South Milwaukee Arcade has. So there shouldn't be too much transition on the right side.
But like you mentioned earlier, it is a 2-game match, not 1, as I originally thought. And he curves right in there. So I think Eddie will be a little more bold in his experimentation here to find a way to flush. But then he does move to the other lane.
Yeah, exactly. And these bowlers had their 15 minutes of practice prior to the match starting, so they know there's going to be a little bit of a change, and that's where communication really is key. That leadoff bowler is going to get out there. How's the lane changed since practice? Everybody make your moves off of that. So
right, and commonly the first transition that players will typically see is the lanes appear to be getting tighter.
It looks like Ed may have moved slightly to the left even more in the approach. Yeah, he gave that one a little extra. Now he's in the pocket.
You just put a little more hand in that one.
He can do that, no doubt about that. 28-pin lead for Town and Country Lanes after game 1. This 2-game total pin match. We'll be back with that second game for Motion Plus Lanes in just a couple of minutes. Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Blue Mountain Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Once again, Kerry Catania starting things off here at Motion Plus Lanes. Town and Country Lanes maintaining that 28-pin lead after game 1, so South Milwaukee Arcade, a little bit of work this game, but they get to put a little pressure on right away, starting off on this left lane, lane 9 here.
I think Kerry needs to be in show business, not a bowling proprietor. I mean, he loves that spotlight.
Maybe we can do a bowling reality show at Motion Plus Lanes. We'll have to get the real bowlers of Cudahy, kind of like the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
And you can see that inner desire he has to ham it up a little bit. Koza's first shot in the left lane. Not a bad pitch there. No 7-pin there, which he could potentially miss. Best thing to do is knock it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to let that other team know that, hey, we might be down by almost 30 pins. We're not rolling over. You're going to have to earn this win. And Steve Fisher starting off this game. No lineup changes for either team. If they wanted to adjust bowlers in the roster, they could each game if they want to adjust positions, but neither team has done so. Nice post at the line by Fisher, and he gets the mixer to
carries that little mix on that 5. almost seems like well, it's early in the match, but the right lane might have a little bit more hands than the left lane.
Yeah, that's what we've seen before here in Motion Plus Lanes. We've always seen lane 9 seem to be a little more aggressive than lane 10.
Right, and that can be topography more than putting a different pattern down on lane 9.
Oh, sure. Lane to lane across any house is always going to be a little bit different. Jason Pierce-Chelski stepping up, and boy, he's just tattooing the pocket and not getting the breaks.
He got a little nudge on that 7-pin, but not quite enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the better spare shooters.
Yeah, lots of deflection. That's surprising there was that much deflection on that ball.
He's using a dull reactive resin with a little bit of surface on it. And if you don't get your best release on the ball at the release point, it can back off a little bit.
Bleed a little energy right before the pocket.
Exactly. He'll stay with that same ball, go cross lane, no problem.
Dead on it, but South Park Arcade's going to have to start finding some strings of strikes out there to get caught up with Town and Country Lanes, because something tells me Town and Country, they're going to find a way to string them very soon. This is the 4th time in 7 years they've made the Action Heating and Cooling Team Shootout TV Finals, so they've already got 1 title under the belt and 2 second places. Looking to even that out at 2 wins and 2 seconds, and a nice shot there by Rob Milbrath.
Yep, got him off the hand nice and clean. And Jim Page can keep his strike string going.
Yeah, and 38-pin lead now for Town and Country. Frames are really running off for Page and Company.
Well, they are. They got to start striking at some point here, and I mean 5-bagger or 6-bagger. Jimmy wants to give a shout out to his lovely wife Denise and kids Sarah and Megan. He'll stick at the line just right.
Well, for a guy that seems to just ease through the ball, he's got a nice rev rate.
Oh, Jimmy's not. He's not shy at the release point. He gives it some fingers. Always has.
Yeah, you don't get to be a Hall of Fame member by throwing 3 revs out of the lane. You got to get something to keep
You
those
need at
quarters
least
out.
5.
Speaking from experience, Joe?
Speaking from experience. 5 will get you there.
Jerry Reamer got a few more than 5 on there and took all 10 pins down on that shot.
Well, he blew that 5 into the next lane, even though he blew it to the right.
And 48 pins, and that lead is getting bigger and bigger for Town and Country Lanes.
Maybe that wasn't the 5.
That was the 4 pin.
That might have
on
been
the
the 4.
light hit. Yeah, head pin came back off the wall, took the 4 out.
Well, these kids play a different game than we were brought up playing, and sometimes the pin action is kind of mind-boggling.
It can fool the eyes, no doubt about that.
Okay, Jeff knows the strike here is huge, being on a strike and a little light 2-pin.
And with a little surprise there you can see on the way back for Jeff. He thought he threw a really good shot out of his hand. Sometimes you just give that little extra speed on this pattern, especially with the short transition from the end of where the oil's laid down through the end of where it's buffed out to the end of the pattern, and change can happen and fool you pretty quick in this sport.
Right, and the players that were on this lane previously, pretty much power players.
Yeah, no slouches in the bunch on Town and Country Lanes when it comes to...
So they may have been in a little deeper than where Jeff is, pushing a little oil out right in front of that pocket.
Well, winner of this match takes on our team Weight in the Wings. You see him practicing down in lanes 1 and 2. Brunswick Horsemen, and they've got a mixed lineup. 4 righties, 1 lefty. So it could be interesting as the Horsemen come on and get their practice, because the winning team from this match will have to wait off the pair, so when they come back on, there could be some interesting transition for whatever players remain, and another strike. He's made a great adjustment since leaving that 3-6-9-10.
Yeah, he's projecting the ball just right, and that the ball's facing when it's supposed to face, meaning reading the friction area as it leaves the oil pattern. That's years of experience showing off right there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Tony, I want to thank his wife, his 2 boys, and his 3-week-old baby girl for letting him bowl today. And taking home a little diaper money so far. Looking for that $1,500 first place prize.
I don't think the 3-week-old put up too much of a fight, though.
You know what put up a fight there for Ed Jr.? That 7-pin. That was a stiff 7 to take. Watch the replay here.
High, hard one. Watch that 4-pin go up and around the 7.
That's just wrong on so many levels. I mean, he knows he threw a great shot, and you just get the wind sucked out of you.
Yeah, and he's wondering, when are my strikes coming? because he's only got one more attempt after this.
And his team is falling further and further behind. Right now they're down 58 pins. Pretty much match over here, especially if Scott Salinas can throw a strike in his team's half of the fifth frame. Working on the front four. Team does shoot 300 out here today. Not only is it a $300 cash bonus from EBC Productions, but Kerry Catania will open up the bar for a $300 bar tab as well here at Motion Plus Lanes. With the crowd that's still here, that should buy one round.
Let's see if Scott can get his first strike of the day. It's been close. And close once again.
Light, and light. And you can see the frustration setting in. And, you know, it might not matter right now in this match with this team being up by so much, but getting into the second match against the Horsemen, assuming that they hold on and win here.
Right. The only way it would really hurt is if he opened, and I don't think Scott's missed a 2-pin in a number of years.
Off the hand nicely, covers it up well. Halfway through game 2 of this total pin 2-game match. Join us from Motion Plus Lanes for the rest of this 2015 Action Heating and Cooling Team Shootout semifinal momentarily. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. The hardest part, waiting around during the TV timeout to see all the bowlers here, talking strategy over and getting back in the swing of things.
Is it really that hard, or do they just belly up to the bar, have a quick shot or a drink of soda, and go back at it?
I don't know. I don't think too many of them are partaking in the adult beverage variety right now. There's too much money on the line. $1,500 first place prize.
There you go.
You don't want to make the... You can have plenty of barley pops and shots after it's done. Spend a little of that money here in Motion Plus Lanes, but...
Barley pop? I've not heard of that one.
That's what the Town and Country likes to call their beers after they're done with a tournament. You hear, hey, let's have a round of barley pops.
But up at the state senior tournament in Watertown, at Watertown North, or Bowl they would call it, we had a duck fart. Yeah. Little Bailey's Irish cream, a little bit of Irish whiskey, and a little bit of amaretto.
That's some interesting names for drinks that come about here and there, and that's one of the more interesting ones I've heard. I'll have to remember that next time I'm out near
Luckily, they
Watertown
tasted
Bowl.
better than they sounded.
And how about that, Steve Fisher keeping the pressure on? Pretty much match over here.
Yeah, Steve striking all but his opening shot of the day.
Watch that ball. Light mixer. Head pick comes back across. Would have taken anything else out that would have tried to stand. Now it's just getting out of here with some pride for South Milwaukee Arcade, keeping it close.
Right. I mean, one thing we are seeing, these players make their spares. We've only had one open so far.
Jason's thrown 4 great shots.
Solid 8 there. Came in a little deep in the pocket, but he'll take that. Easier to make than a 7-pin.
Yeah, 2 7-pins, a light 10, and now a stuff 8. Oh, that 6-pin barely took the 10 down as well. That could have been a stuff 8-10, and he's not going to be happy walking out here with third place for his team, knowing how well he's thrown the ball all day long. Okay, but a great first showing on TV for Jason Pierce-Chalski. 4 good shots in the pocket, just didn't happen to carry any of them. I want to thank our friends Phil and Patty Onko, Castle Lanes in Racine. Get a hold of them if you live in Racine County. They've got the Hope Safe House Match Game Tournament coming up in May. Ask for Phil Onko or Alan Blom at Castle Lanes, and then get yourself with all that information. A great tournament for Racine County bowlers. If you're not in, get in. And another nice shot there by Rob Milbrath. And yeah, this one is all but done.
Yeah, it is in the books, and I think both teams are aware of that.
Yeah, you'll see. You might see a line change here or there just from the bowlers of Town and Country Lanes, just to see if they got a little extra area. They'll talk it over as a team. That's the one unique thing about Baker team bowling. That there's so much chat between the bowlers. I think even more so than just a regular team game as things go on.
Another high hard one from Jimmy using that Motive Venom Shock. Actually, our top-selling Motive ball.
And I'll tell you what, you can see the way Jim's made a hit, 4 for 4 in that pocket. I can see why somebody want to pick up that Venom Shack at Bowler's Pro Shop and get it drilled up by you or Dennis Jarris. Jerry Reamer looking to get another strike on the board for his team. And wrap that 10.
Labels another one, and they bowled Nationals already, did they not? Team Town Country?
Yeah, they bowled Nationals. I think they were just under the 3,000, which is a great score this year. I mean, I was looking at the leaderboard the other day, and there were still scores around 30-50 that were in the top 10. And they actually went out there without Tony Buss because Tony, just celebrating the birth of his newborn baby girl, wasn't able to go. And they had Anthony Dake, who used to bowl at UW Whitewater. We saw in a couple of our Youth Challenge Series shows back in the day, jump on board. And Anthony bowled very well out there, kept the team near that 3,000 mark in the team event. And they had a pretty decent team all events as well. I'm sure there'll be a few checks coming back from El Paso for that Town and Country team.
And our good friend Chad Moss was leading the all events with 21.52. Just recently got knocked off by
Rob Gottschall, who used to live in Nebraska and now works for Ebonite, lives in Tennessee. And I've seen Rob a couple of times recently on the PBA Tour doing my extra frame exploits. And Rob was coaching bowlers, helping out as a ball rep in Portland, Maine during the PBA main event and the PBA League, and nice to see not only can he get bowlers lined up, but he got himself lined up and made some great ball choices and got himself just past Chad Moss. And you know, you gotta almost call Chad the heartbreak kid. He's come close so many times.
Well, close last year.
Motion plus lanes with Dave Barras and Chris Pearson, and ended up finishing second behind a record score after they set the new
an obscene score.
Yeah.
When it appeared as though they had the team event in the bag.
Yeah, 35-85, and they lose by 135 pins to Artistic Expressions out of Oklahoma, who shot 37-20.
Right, and many bowlers felt Chad's score of 21.52 would be more than enough to hold up, and lo and behold, a few weeks later, or 10 days later, he gets bumped off.
Yeah. So it just shows you until the tournament's done, no score is safe. Well, let's see what Ed Jr. can do here to wrap up the day. And Ed, not only the proprietor at South Milwaukee Arcade, but himself and Gary Darashevsky, the co-proprietors of Classic Lanes in Oak Creek. And yeah, he just kind of like, let's see what happens if I try to play it a little firmer, and it goes right through the nose on it.
He's been light, then high flush, and I mean, that's Eddie's first errant shot. I'm sure he'll have no trouble converting this, and he'll finish with a strike.
Phil ball always carries. That's what it seems like. So, yeah, that's one thing you see, Ed. You see the powerful shot he has all the time, but you can't go out there and shoot a bunch of 800s unless you're making the spares you do leave between strikes. And Ed, very good spare shooter. Waiting for that ball to come back. Well, Brunswick Horsemen, didn't see too many of them coming down, checking out how the lanes were changing, that kind of thing. They're still down, you can see, down on 1 and 2. Just getting loose, getting ready to come on, and $500 difference between first and second place today. $1,500 for first, $1,000 for second. But we couldn't do that without the support of our friends, the Peckus family at Action Heating and Cooling and Plumbing. So for your heating, cooling, or plumbing needs, 414-291-5400. As, of course, the Phil ball strikes.
As it does.
So, teams are shaking hands already. They know it's pretty much done, but Scott Salinas got to step up here yet, make it official, fill out his 10th frame. And not a bad day for South Market Arcade, though. $750 they're taking home for third place. You know, considering we only charged a couple $100 a team, it's a pretty nice price when we get, thanks to our friends at Action Heating and Cooling.
If Scott can get his first strike of the day. Throws a great shot. Messenger in front of the 10. There are some days it's just not your day.
Well, he's going to have to make that adjustment because the Horsemen are not going to take it easy on anybody out here. Match is no longer in doubt. We're going to take a break from this match. We'll be back with the championship match between Town and Country Lanes and the Brunswick Horsemen from Motion Plus Lanes in Cudahy in just a couple of minutes. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Championship match. Waited all day for it, bowling fans. Kerry Catania's waited for it all day. As you can see, he knows enough of these bowlers out here. The Horsemen, the Brunswick Horsemen, Town and Country Lanes. Town and Country Lanes, been a couple of years since they've won here. Brunswick Horsemen, couple of second place finishes as well. So these teams are hungry for victory and that $1,500 first place prize today.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of strikes thrown here.
Yeah, usually these championship matches end up being in the two-game total 430, 440 range. It seems like over the last few years. Haven't seen too many matches end early like we saw in our semifinal. Mike Jamro stepping up and throwing strikes like that, you can see why.
Yeah, Mike firing up the crowd himself. Mike knows this house. He probably knows each lane better than most bowlers. Bowling here for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, Jamros, Volks, Teets, they've all kind of, maybe not grown up in the center, but done a lot of their bowling in the center. Kyle Gertzen as well have done a lot of bowling here at Motion Plus back when he was a youth bowler. And now as an adult. Steve Fisher looking to match the Brunswick Horseman strike. Getting out of the gates. Nice post at the line by Steve.
Yeah, great shot. Probably his best shot of the day.
I think one of his teammates hollered hook there, and not the exact thing you wanted him to do at that point in time. That ball was high flush.
See our first look at Ronnie Volks, age 55, joining the senior group. He carries a nice little light mixer.
Still throws it like a 20-year-old.
Well, he does. He's got forearms like tree trunks. And
yeah, and he's bounced back because he had surgery, if I remember correctly, on, was it his right arm or his left arm last season?
His right arm.
It was his right arm, so he's bounced
blew
back
the
nicely.
bicep muscle.
Yeah, so he's bounced back well off of that. And, well, Rob Milbrath looking to match the opening double. He's been in the pocket all day today so far. That unique stutter step he has, getting to his timing. He gave that one a ton on the bottom.
Yeah, it's his first errant shot of the day, but you know, it doesn't matter if you have a stutter step or not, as long as you're at the line in time, and it probably is a timing trigger for his game.
Yeah, especially at the number of steps he takes. He takes 6 or 7 steps. I wasn't counting at that point in time, but yeah, definitely gets that trigger step in there, as you said. Little timing mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Steve Brinkman used to do that a number of years ago.
1, 2. Yeah, there's a timing step in the 3, 4, 5, and 6. Get the 2 and move on now. We've seen it before where all of a sudden you get to the end of a match and pin count turns into a huge issue, especially working on strikes, because 1 pin on a strike equals 2 on your scoreboard.
Here's a good friend of mine, Craig Miller. Operates Pro World Pro Shop on Milwaukee's north side.
Yeah, when they had that building collapse at Classic Lanes, Menominee Falls, and Craig's Pro Shop is located in, things are looking dire there for a few days, but they open up shortly thereafter, and Craig's been punching on equipment with his partner, Marty Lemmerman, getting that done.
Opening 10 pin, a little bit light in the pocket, using a Brunswick Gold Rhino Pro. Just that messenger almost tipped into it.
Yeah, well, it's one thing Craig's really improved. I used to bowl with him as a teammate years ago at Strakota's Millshore back in the early 90s, and tell you what, his spare game, I would take his spare shooting ability with anybody that's out there. Really improved over the years.
So you didn't black cloud him there?
No, I would never black cloud Craig because he'd let me have it after it's done, no doubt about that.
Well, sometimes our black clouds are inadvertent.
Good point. Jerry Reamer stepping up. Jerry, of course, married to his wife Teresa, member of the Draper family, the fine proprietors out at Town and Country Lanes. And they should have that All-Star tournament out on YouTube sometime soon. So check the Town and Country Lanes website. They do that great All-Star tournament. They put the finals out on YouTube each year for the last couple of years. And if the 2015 edition isn't out yet, just keep going back to the website every couple of days. It should be there pretty soon.
Right. Used to be televised for many years.
Was televised for many years, and Unfortunately, due to production costs, and they had to scale things back a bit. We couldn't do this without the help of our friends at Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. They kind of make our lives a little bit easier with getting bowling on TV, and we want to thank everybody down there at Time Warner Cable for having us on the air for our 8th season. And here's the man I think is the X factor.
Well, he's
for
the young gun on the 5 horsemen. 22 years of age, Kyle Gertzen.
I mean, we know he can throw strikes. Him and Mike Jamrose in the 2014 edition of the Action Alternate Shot Doubles shot 278 in the championship match, only to lose to the 279 of Tony Roventini and Rochelle Roventini. And a little bad break there for Kyle, leaving that light 4-pin. And that's something you see more and more nowadays out of the power players. The light 4 or the light 4-8 because of the ball speed. I've seen that a lot watching guys out on the PBA tour. They'll hit light and all of a sudden they'll have a 4-8 standing there.
That's for his spare ball. Go cross lane, right at it. Definitely gets a little speed on that ball as well.
You see a lot of 200 average players in that Bowlers Pro Shop, Joey. How many of them nowadays use polyester or urethane ball for their spare conversions, would you say?
I would say between 80 and 90%.
You do that as well, polyester or urethane?
I have at times, and I've worked on trying to flat hand it, and I've had success and failure both ways. I mean, the key is throw as many strikes as you can so you don't leave many spares.
But it's just a comfort factor as well, because we've seen Norm Duke for years throw with his strike ball and just flatten it out.
He has never enjoyed throwing spare balls. He just flattens it, but he does it very well. Mark Roth never used a spare ball in his day. I mean, his strike ball was his spare ball, let's say.
Tony Bush leaving that blower 7-pin, trying to stare it down right there, not working. Getting a little grief from his team momentarily over that. He'll take a little bit of the scenic route at it.
Tony not using a spare ball. And again, it depends on the condition you're on. On a house condition with a heavy concentration of oil in the middle, I think sometimes using your strike ball makes more sense. But when you're on lighter patterns where the ball could hook away from a corner pin, it's a good idea to use a spare ball.
This man has taken a lot of money out of these action heating and cooling tournaments over the years. Henry Tietzen with that strike shot, you can see why.
Yeah, Henry, 38 300 games under his belt, ABC singles champion. He knows how to strike.
Yeah, a couple Eagle winners on that Brunswick Horseman team. Ron Volks with the record setting at the time, all events.
23-21 9-game total.
And that was in Las Vegas.
Ron used a track kinetic with the pin in the middle finger.
Well, there's 10 pins in the pit as we get into the commercial break for this game. We'll be back with the rest of our final here for the 2015 Action Heating Team Shootout momentarily. Brunswick Horsemen taking an early lead here. Motion Plus Lanes, 2015 Action Heating and Cooling and Plumbing Team Shootout. Mike Jamrose looking to throw another strike for the Brunswick Horsemen on lane 9.
Yeah. Mike's favorite bowler, PBA bowler that is, Earl Anthony, yet another Earl fan.
Yeah, 3 lefties, 3 Earl fans, and Earl didn't leave too many of those stone 8 pins.
No, Earl was either a strike or a 7-pin, it seems. An occasional 6-pin back in the day.
So
that could have been an 8-10, similar to what Jason almost left in the earlier match.
Yeah, you see the reaction. Mike goes, "Oh, come on, I threw it great. What's going on?" His teammate Ron Volks just kind of covers his eyes. Can't believe what he just saw. No problem covering it up. And that's one amazing fact. Once again, we see with these matches on TV. Quality bowlers, and when they don't strike, they're covering up those spares. There's no doubt. We've had 1 open so far through 2.5 games of team play. So basically 5 games to play out there, and we've had 1 missed spare, 2 open frames.
Right. Okay, see if Steve can stay down nice and low at the line. Strength of his game. Good shot. Bad result, but a great shot.
Yeah, he kind of knew it out of his hand. He was a little too far right on that shot. You don't see too many complaints from him coming back, as he's kind of playing with what I do at release, what do I need to do to make sure it's clean off my hand.
Right, and we saw the deflection upon entering the pocket, and Steve's ball normally does not deflect that much to the right, so he probably just didn't get it off his hand with the hand position he had used earlier.
Polyester ball for the spare, no problem.
Doesn't take much to leave it 9.
No, that's the one thing in this sport that a lot of people that might not get out and bowl often or think they're constantly getting robbed is it's hard to get all 10 pins down time after time after time. To find a way to carry the one more strike a game than your opponent, that's the difference between the guys that are winning on tour and the guys that are finishing in second and third place.
Right. The one gets away from Ronnie there. He'll go to his spare ball, which is a Brunswick melee. Ronnie's authored 5,300 games, high series of 857, which I believe was his singles score at Nationals the year he won the All Events title.
Yeah, and you would have
that didn't win.
No, 862.
Bo Gorgon knocked him off by 5 pins. I mean, that should have been a double eagle championship for Ron, but
you just never know. Just because you broke a record doesn't mean somebody behind you can't go and do it again, and we've seen that for several times at the USBC National Tournament. Rob Milbrath, 39 300 games under his belt. Favorite bowler? Probably the most fit bowler on the PBA or PBA 50 Tour, Amleto Monticelli.
Amleto's a lot of people's favorite bowler.
The good old pull the lawnmower release.
And there's a pocket 710. Probably one of the worst breaks in bowling today on good release, it seems. Good pocket shot. 5-pin gets blown kind of in front or gets knocked.
Gets stopped, yeah.
From hitting the 7.
Well, I know it's a team tournament, but hey, individually, if he makes this, it's a $100 award.
So that'd be $20 for him.
Well, we give it to him. He'd have to split with the teammates, and he can't bounce it out. So we're 0 for 8 years still on the 710 and 4-6 710 conversions.
Well, there's plenty of players here that can get it down there in a hurry. So, but we don't want to see too many 710s.
Well, we say 710's the first person to ever make a 710 at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. You're seeing him right here, Craig Mueller. His little claim to fame.
Wow.
1995.
That's an interesting stat.
Yeah. 1995, he was the first person to make a 710 in the National Bowling Stadium.
Labels the pocket there, 10 down.
Keeps that lead for the Horsemen. Out at 21 pins. Working on that open frame. Jerry Reamer's got a pretty much strike to keep his team in contention this game. Once again, 2-game total pin matches. Teams will switch lanes after this game. Jerry fishes well behind the foul line. The ball barely gets over the foul line, but I guess when you're consistent with it, doesn't matter. Get all 10 pins down the same way every time. Great shot there by Jerry Reamer. Watch that ball hit the pocket light, mix it around. Only leaves a couple on the deck. Let's see what Kyle Gertz can do adjusting off that 9-pin he had.
Exactly. And
Probably 4-pin he had.
yeah, light pocket 4-pin. May just bump one board right. Let the lane bring it in a little stronger. And he's still coming a little, ball's reading a little bit late.
Yeah, made the move, and as both teams give him a little abuse for leaving a 5-pin on the deck. And yeah, easiest spare to make, they say, in the middle of the lane. But we've seen him missed before on TV.
Oh, yeah.
This one's no gimme.
Well, it gives him another practice shot. See if he can line up a little better for that strike on his first ball. Ball's really not tipping real strong when it comes off the pattern.
Yeah, so either for a player like Kyle, it could almost be advantageous to move a little left and throw it a little slower and a little more rev.
Right, or try a different ball. I'm sure he's got a number to choose from in the bag.
Tony Buss, another member of that Town and Country Lanes team that likes to golf when the weather gets warmer. Been bowling since he was 2 years old, and, well, leaves a 2-pin.
Yeah, I think he got that a little further right than he wanted to. Kind of hooked out a little bit.
It should be interesting for Town and Country Lanes because they finished the semifinal round on lane 10 here. And with the lane choice going to the Brunswick Horsemen, they had Town and Country Lane start on lane 10 again. So it's been a while since they've been on lane 9. They got no practice during the commercial break between the semifinal and final matches on this pair. So they could have some pretty interesting going heading back to lane 9 after this game.
Still a tight match.
Henry Teets struck on his shot in the 5th frame. He's a prime example of you don't have to hook the lane to get all 10 down. That strong forward roll once again, no problem getting all 10 out.
Well, the advantage of playing a little further right, you can stay near the friction, get a good angle of entry in the pocket. We'll see no deflection upon entry.
If I remember correctly, the year that Henry won his singles event at the USBC Open tournament, he had the only 800 in that event.
I believe you are correct. I believe it was an 815.
It was a very small 800. And another nice shot there. Getting another 10 pins on that lead for the Horsemen, taking out the 31 sticks right now.
All right, so potential 205.
Max for Town and Country, 184. So at the least, the Horsemen are walking out of this with a 21-pin lead. And well, Town and Country's been ahead all day. This is the first time we've seen them behind. Let's see what kind of intestinal fortitude they can get together for the second game of this match. Ooh, he really came around the side of that one. You don't see Henry do that very often.
No, you don't. But that's 7, so a 202 finish.
So 18 pins is the minimum lead that the Brunswick Horsemen will have going to game 2. And they're already kind of talking over what they're going to do when they're moving lanes. They're going to watch what Scott Salinas does here. And his closing shots. Scott started bowling at the age of 5. I want to thank his girlfriend, Brittany, for all her support with his bowling, and a great shot there for the first ball in the 10th. And I believe that is Scott's first strike in 5 attempts today.
Well, I believe his second.
He
struck
okay,
in the 5th frame.
So he made the adjustment when he was going constantly light.
Right. He was light the first match, but he's 2 for 2 here in his second outing.
Double in the 10th here is huge. Knocked that lead down in the 20-pin range instead of the 30-pin range. Nice out of the hand. Maybe a little quick.
And light again, that 2-8. Seen quite a few of those today.
Yeah, when that ball is not turning the corner, whether it's the bowler missing target a little bit or just not getting the release properly, it's not taking the 8-pin out. A lot of times they're leaving that 2-8 combination. Well, with the spare here, it's going to be a 28-pin lead, I believe. 28-pin lead, yes. The Brunswick Horsemen getting into game 2 of this total pin 2-game match. We'll be back with the rest of this from Motion Plus Lanes in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned. Kerry Catania, high fives for both teams here, getting things started. Once again, I want to thank all the support that Kerry and Gene Catania give us for all of our tournaments here, the action heating, cooling, and plumbing events. High school mixed doubles we had here this past year, the Top Gun, presented by Motive Bowling. Couldn't do it without the Catania family support. Always appreciate it, and we're going to be back here for our 9th season next year with all those events as well. 28 pins down, first time all day. Town and Country's faced a deficit, and Steve Fisher's going to have to start things off quickly for his team.
Yeah, you want to try and string some strikes as quickly as possible. So it's a great first shot.
10 back. Put a little pressure right away on the opponents. And you can see a few high fives between the teams. These guys bowl against each other, league, tournaments. They know each other well. There'll be a little gentle ribbing here and there, but I guarantee you with that $1,500 first place prize, it starts to get close at the end. High fives are going to go away quickly between teams, and a good break there for Mike Jamrose.
Yeah, almost a pocket 6-7. Definitely got the ball to make the corner.
Well, yeah, watch on the replay. Watch how hard that ball peels the last 2 feet.
Yeah, that ball finished almost behind the 9 or next to the 10 pin.
Definitely generates some entry angle. Take the slow train to the 6 pin. Covers it up nicely. Well, here's Town and Country's chance to knock 10 pins off that lead of the Brunswick Horseman. Rob Milbrath stepping up. I want to thank Merrill Draper for all the support the Draper family gives for the Town and Country team and the bowlers at Town and Country Lands. It needs to push a little bit. Oh, it did push really nice.
Can opener action on that.
18-pin lead. Down 2 for the Brunswick Horsemen, and there's a man that knows what he wants to do on the lane. He's wasting no time getting up on the approach of Ron Wilkes.
Ron is type A, and he's anxious at times. Wants to give a shout out to his wife Lynn and kids Rebecca, CJ, and Rachel as he calmly gets another strike.
Yeah, CJ have bowled against him a couple times this year at Riviera Lanes on Thursday nights. Pretty good bowler in his own right.
CJ's been coming around. Ron very proud of him when he shoots the 700s.
Jerry Reamer, I asked for previous tournament wins on the bio card, and he goes, not many, I'm just a house hack. Well, strikes like that, I don't think that's a house hack strike right there. 3 in a row.
Jerry's had his share of titles.
3 in a row for Town and Country Lanes. Lead down to single digits, 8 pins for the Brunswick Horsemen.
Craig began bowling at a late age, I see on his bio sheet. Began bowling at age 18. He's 48 years of age right now, so still a 30-year veteran.
Yeah. Slides over a little bit left from where he was on lane 9. Up and through that shot quickly.
Good shot. Gives them a double. Keeps them tight in the match.
Back out to 18 pins for that league for the Brunswick Horsemen. Remember, if the teams do happen to tie, the team captains will take 3 bowlers, then we'll have an 8th, 9th, and 10th frame roll-off until the tie is broken. And you don't think Craig liked that one too much. You can see on the replay. Little fist pump. Little turn to play to the crowd. And Tony not happy with something, thumb or fingers.
Resetting himself. Well, yeah, if the hand doesn't feel quite right in the ball, best idea, take your hand out and start over.
That's just left. Yeah.
Yeah, well left off the hand. Fortunate to get the 10 to fall over. Makes it a little bit easier.
You know, and it's tough sometimes because we don't do a shot clock here on TV. I mean, if a bowler's got a problem, he could have set the ball down and just totally restarted his shot. It wouldn't have been an issue. That would have been my preference on that. Just to, totally start things over. I mean, to just pull your hand out and stick it back in the ball. It seems like you're just asking to rush the shot when that happens.
Yeah, we don't see quite as many balks on our telecast compared to the PBA telecast. Sean Rash comes to mind.
Yeah, Sean Rash, even Belmo once or twice lately. We've seen Belmo, get up and set the ball down. So even if you don't put your thumb in the ball, if something doesn't feel right physically or mentally, step off and do what you got to do to get it set right. Kyle Gertson looking to get his first strike.
Right, see if he can keep this string going so they can get back to their 28-pin lead.
Great balance at the line. And
he liked that off the hand, but that ball hooked up pretty strong right around that 45-foot mark.
Yeah, that's one young man whose physical game has really changed over the years since when he was in high school, Oak Creek High School.
But he's been light, and you don't want to keep going light, so he may have just torqued that up a little harder and got the ball to read. But you're right, his physical game after attending, I believe, Vincennes, strengthened his game significantly.
So yeah, much better balance at the line than he used to have when he was in high school, and the Horsemen have kind of molded him into a great player, taking already what he had for college experience, and to fit in with the team with that many veterans, that much tournament experience, and jump right in. They've had some great scores at the USBC Open Tournament, the team event, with Kyle on the team over the last couple of years as well.
And they'll be bowling there later this month, later in April, that is.
Scott Salinas looking to keep things going for his team. Well, whatever he didn't find in the first match, he's found in the second.
He is dialed in right now, big strike.
Still that 18-pin lead. Pardon me, 19-pin lead for the Brunswick Horsemen, and Henry Tietz has been solid all day for them as well. Had that big double in the 10th frame to extend the lead in the first game.
We know this right lane plays a little later, a little tighter. And he didn't really like that off his hand, as you could tell.
And we almost saw our second 7-10 of the day on lane 10. Watch the replay. Watch that head pin come back across, and lucky that it took the 10 pin out. Otherwise, that could have caused some real issues for the Brunswick Horsemen getting into the second half of this Game 2 of the championship match. Spare here keeps that lead out at 18 pins for the Brunswick Horsemen, which he gets nicely. We're going to take our last commercial break of the day. Join us back for Motion Plus Lanes for the rest of this championship match in just a moment.
Barbiere's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Blue Mound Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com.
Well, semifinal match is pretty much done at this point in time in Game 2, but it's anybody's match right now. Town and Country Lanes 18 pins behind the Brunswick Horsemen, with Steve Fisher stepping up here trying to double up on his teammate Scott Salinas' strike from the 5th frame here in frame 6.
Well, Steve's been solid all day. Great shots, pretty much all solid pocket. And as I say that, he comes light for the first time.
It's like he made an adjustment, but then leaked it a little too far to the right, and we're seeing these balls. They get out that little bit to the right. They are not picking up enough to get back, and that's the first time we've seen the 10-pin left with the 2-8 combination today. And
right, we've seen a number of 2-8s, probably at least 5 for sure. And that's a potential open at the wrong time.
Well, you got to get the 2 here. You don't want to lose the count. You don't want to get in a situation where you take a double 9 or a double and 9 and make it a loss at the end of the game in the 10th frame because you missed a pin early. And Steve just walking that one off. He'll get down to lane 1 before he comes back, no doubt about that.
Right, so at the halfway point, it's still a big lead for the Horsemen. 28-29 pin lead going into the last 5 frames. As Mike leaves his second solid 8.
It's just amazing. It has a solid entry angle. It's nothing overly aggressive in the pocket, but he has such a strong roll on that ball that those just.
And as you see, the 0 deflection, and that you want some deflection.
Yeah, because otherwise you just saw the ball just overpower that 5-pin right there and just continue back into the 9. A little close to the foul line there for Mike. Didn't go over though.
Mike good. Using a Brunswick LT48. I'm sorry. Brunswick Versamax, black solid reactive resin.
Well, 29 pins the lead for the Brunswick Horsemen right now. Rob
Not
Milbrath.
insurmountable, but they're going to need some strikes here. Team T of C.
Yeah, Rob struck his last time up. Sure, he's going to make a move off of what his teammate did there, and just got the 5 out.
Yeah.
Just a 7 pin.
And again, it's strange that we're seeing as much carry down as we're seeing. And it's not always carry down. It can be mid-lane oil depletion. And to explain that, the ball reads the mid lane a little bit, and then the back ends have some carry down, and all of a sudden the ball won't make the back end reaction that we saw, say, early.
Yeah, there's less oil in the mid lane, so it starts to try to roll up earlier, but then if it hits a little carry down, it really bleeds the energy from the ball.
Right, and that's where players with higher speed and higher rev rates can shine, or at least the higher rev rate, more so than the medium rev rate player.
Well, Ronnie's smelling blood in the water here, and yeah, no doubt on Ron Volks for that strike, and he's getting that team fired up.
Yeah, Ronnie using negative pin Brunswick ringer, red ringer, pin under the middle finger. Creates good length and saves a lot of back-end hooking energy.
Well, Jerry Reamer needs to get things started for Town and Country here, and he does with a strike in the 8th frame.
Yeah, Jerry, extremely sound game. Doesn't seem to ever get rattled or ruffled, and never throws that wild pitch.
Yeah, just he's always there. I mean, and after a couple of years ago where he threw that errant shot in the 10th frame of the championship match to hand victory to the other team and give Town and Country a second place finish, he really wants this win today.
Well, that may be giving him his extra focus. We kind of see it in his eyes today. I mean, he's doing whatever he can do. He's doing his part to help this team win.
Well, to get the lead up by another 10 pins here for Brunswick Horsemen. And that is a huge ring 10 pin right there.
Yeah, good shot off the hand. Craig really liked it. But again, this right lane going a little bit longer. And we know length can, I mean, we all look for length, but too much length and ball comes in behind the pocket. 6 pin goes around the 10, or you lead the blower 7, you lead 2/8.
Yeah, I mean, right there, that would have been practically lockjaws for the Horsemen. I mean, if they're with the spare here and striking out, they're still in the 220s, and most right now that Town and Country can choose 236, so they're still well in the lead. But it's going to take striking out from Town and Country lanes to put any pressure on the Horsemen in the 9th and 10th frames. But Tony Buss, he's been around the pocket all day. That errant shot in the 4th frame was, I think, more of a mental issue than an actual physical errant shot.
Tony, being the experienced player he is, will forget that shot and focus on making a good shot right here. Looked really good off his hand, really good result down lane. Didn't overhit nor underhit.
Yeah, 6 pin does a great job kicking out the 10, strong roll, and that ball gets it done. And gets that lead down to 19 pins. Anybody's game, but big foundation frame here for Kyle Gertzen stepping up. This is where the kid gets to show what he's made of at 22 years of age. Mark here.
He has struggled a little bit today. I mean, Kyle normally strikes at will.
Great post at the line.
He definitely moved left, like you had mentioned earlier, and kind of circled it a little bit. And that's the Kyle we're accustomed to seeing more often than not.
That is a huge, huge shot right there.
Yeah, and they're smelling victory here, but again, we know there's still a lot of lumber left out there.
Well, Town and Country Lanes has to get at least the first 2 in the 10th to put any pressure on the Horsemen.
Right, but Scott has lined up since the first match. But this is why he's in the anchor. I mean, you want your most sound player in pressure situations down on the bottom. Throws a great shot, rips the rack. But he does need this one.
Yeah, he needs this one to force Henry Teets the mark for the Brunswick Horsemen in the 10th frame. And actually, if he can strike out in the 10th, it would force Henry to get the first strike with the way count is right now. So, this is interesting. So, definitely needs this to put any pressure on Henry Teets in the 10th frame. Nice and relaxed at setup. Look at that shoulder staying down through the shot. Pure off his hand.
Yep.
Can't throw it any better.
Can't throw it any better. That is a 4-bagger. And again, when they needed strikes the most, which is obviously the second half of this match, in this second game, that is picture perfect.
Yeah, right now, if Scott Salinas can get 9 it would force Henry Teets to get the first strike in the 10th frame. Striker 9 forces Henry Teets to get a strike. Anything less, we could have a tie, or we would just force Henry Teets to mark. And he got spinny on the release on that one and sloppy.
Right, he may have labeled the target, but you're right. If your hand comes around it too much and the ball skids a little further down lane, you got 7. So typically, I mean, all Henry needs now is a mark.
19 pins in the 10th frame is a winner. They had a 28-pin lead going into this game. So if he gets 19, they would lose by 27 pins this game.
Henry left the lower 7 last time on this lane. Kicked his leg up at release, and he may not have liked that off his hand, Phil.
I don't know whether it was a slide issue, a timing issue, whether he just amped it, but it's a 2-8-10. I mean, we've seen it made on ESPN. Mika Koivuniemen made it during the PBA League, but that was the first time in 50 years of PBA TV it was made. He has to make this for the Horsemen to win. And you hear Ron Vokes tell him in the background, you got to get 2 to make it. So see if he tries to do the bounce out on the 2-8. Gives it a little extra.
He did what he had to do, hitting high on the 2-pin, but a very, very disheartening, disappointing loss for the Horsemen.
Town and Country 407, Brunswick Horsemen 397, $1,500 first place prize goes to Town and Country Lanes. Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Well, Kerry, 7th time we've been here for the Action Team Shootout. Another phenomenal match. 2 previous champions out here. We had the Horsemen, we have Town and Country, and this time I really thought the Horsemen were going to come out on top because you know how clutch Henry Teets usually is in the 10th frame.
Yeah, he gets lucky every once in a while, but I know we all thought that Henry was going to make a good shot, but hey, it happens.
But a great match nonetheless. Let's bring in the team captain, Ron Vokes, in here. And Ron, you know, great job by you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pleasure, my friend.
You know, great job today by the team. You guys had to sit, wait to the side all the way through the semifinals and the championship match because you guys earned that bye all the way through in qualifying. And does that make a difference? You've been out here before. You've won this tournament before coming up the step ladders. Does it make a big difference sitting on the side for a while?
No, not really. I mean, we've been around enough. I mean, we got one young guy, Kyle, on our team, but we're old enough to know you can loosen up and sit at the bar and have a couple of drinks to relax. But shot was great. I just want to congratulate Town and Country. They bowled great. I mean, they deserved it. They threw the shots when they needed to carry, and they won, you know.
Yeah. Hey, another great showing by you guys here at Motion Plus Lanes. And, Kerry, how much money do we have for the Brunswick Horsemen today?
$1,000.
Nice. Thank you, Mr. Catania. Thank you, sir. One thing I would like to say, thanks to Kerry and Motion Plus Lanes. And the food was awesome, by the way. Where's Mom Catania? Food was great. And the winning team's buying the first round at the bar. Where's Jerry? Jerry, you guys all went at the bar first. But thanks a lot. Phil, great job again.
Appreciate it, Ron. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's bring our championship captain here from Town and Country Lanes. We got Rob Milbrath. Rob, come on in. And I'll tell you what, you had to be nervous sitting there in the 10th frame. I mean, your anchor bowler, Scott, steps up, throws a couple of great shots, force Henry to mark. You got to be thinking to yourself, the way Henry Teets has bowled here for years, it's probably over.
For sure. If I had to pick somebody in this entire building to throw that shot, I would have picked Henry. And it just worked out for us. That's why we didn't. You never give up. You never know what can happen. Scotty threw 2 great shots in the 10th, give us a chance, and it worked out.
A couple of years ago, you guys finished in second place. Tough shot by Jerry Reamer in the 10th. A little redemption for Jerry today. He threw it pretty good.
Yeah, he's been throwing it pretty good since we got back from Nationals. So, yeah, we had a great time today. The Horsemen bowled great.
Rob, folks, trying to throw Rob off here. Kind of threw me off here, but hey, Kerry, always calm, cool, and collected. How much money do we have for Town and Country Lanes today?
Just about $1,500. Congratulations.
Something tells me we'll see a little of that left over the bar here at Motion Plus Lanes.
Negative.
Thanks to bowling and Rob. Appreciate it. Well, Kerry, another season of action tournaments here in the books. Got to thank Joe and Deanna Petkus at Action Heating, Cooling, and Now Plumbing. Do such a great sponsorship job for us. And, boy, you know, we couldn't put this on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel without them.
I know, it's awesome. I just want to, once again, thank them both, you know, for the last, 6, 7, 8 years. And lots of scores again, once again, in qualifying. High game this week, you know, 299. Looking good.
Thanks again for hosting. You and Jeannie always do a great job for us. I appreciate that.
Thanks again.
More bowling coming up here on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. We're back in Sheboygan, Lakeshore Lanes with another fun tournament. Make sure you stay tuned to Time Warner Cable SportsChannel for that. So for my friend Kerry Catania here at Motion Plus Lanes, Joe Serrar back at Bowlers Pro Shop in Milwaukee. Make sure you see him for all your bowling needs. If you don't see Craig Mueller at Pro World Pro Shop, as you saw in the Horseman. I'm Phil Brylow. Parents, take the kids bowling. They will have fun for life. And we'll see you again next time from Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan.